What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the first remix album by rap duo Ying Yang twins. Basically, this project is called My Brother and Me, and it came out in the fall of 2004. So the thing about this particular product is just the fact that this was the next album that was kind of like a stopgap for Ying Yang twins after their hit album from 2003, Me and My Brother, which was a pretty excellent pitch. It was actually a better album than it was, and just within the tone behind it. I reviewed that project back in the spring, and it was a pretty good concept to kind of get that one. It did get to like the fourth single, and enough of these, at least 3 of these particular singles off that particular album got relative, like modest, at least relatively pretty rock solid commercial appeal and like the Billboard 100 charts. The Ying Yang twins usually did better than they did, and they would always get to like at least the second, sometimes third or even fourth single. They had more popularity than compared. They just lasted longer than some folks kind of around that particular time. I'd have to say they definitely had some appeals, and I think that Me and My Brother was definitely like a seminal kind of early 2000s rap album, I'd have to say. But this one is an excellent remix album. This is a lot better than Me and My Brother. I felt like there just weren't enough. There probably needed to be like a couple more album cuts on Me and My Brother, but this is an excellent type fare. This is a short, snappy type product, but it bolsters it extremely well. This has an excellent type pitch, has a couple singles on here, kind of similar to like the United State of Atlanta, the remix album from late 2005. They did that with the same USA album from 2005, so the remix albums hit pretty heavily. This one has some new stuff, just like the one from 2000, the remix album from 2005, and these are excellent type fares. So it's just a real bolstered type product. Has some gems on here, some secret songs you're just not going to find anywhere else. And on top of that, they also managed to kind of edit like some of the lengthier type singles from like, or some lengthier songs from Me and My Brother from 2003. There's 2 songs like Me and My Brother, the title track, and then Georgia Dome were both songs I want to say were over 5.5 or 6 minutes. So they shorten those songs and they just work a lot better. They just have a lot more snap, and these probably could be like standalone or promo type singles, buzz songs, pitches like that, just because the quality of them. I just think that was the only thing really holding those particular albums or those particular songs back. Georgia Dome was a great song, great sequel to Salt Shaker within the pitch behind it, but it just kind of tracked on longer than it needed to, probably at like over 6 minutes. And it's the same thing with Me and My Brother, but these just have a lot more snappy type appeal. There's some good concepts, some features on here. It's pretty crunk ready to go. Now, the unfortunate thing is Lil Jon is not on here, minus like the Salt Shaker remix, or the Salt Shaker remixes by Wood had to say. For the most part, Ying Yang twins stand on this particular album. Ying Yang twins really have some thrills. In this particular album, Ying Yang twins have some thrills on here. They really stand out, and they feel inspired on this particular product just to have that particular ferocious bite to kind of say that they had some more albums in them as far as those pitches kind of happen. Now, it's just they dropped 2 singles off this particular project. They didn't chart, but still an excellent. They didn't chart, but still an excellent type pitch to kind of get these, because this is definitely a pretty excellent type look to kind of get off this particular project. They dropped 2 singles off this project, and it's an excellent type pitch to kind of get this one just because of the appeal that it particularly has. So I'm just gonna get to talk about some of these. I just had to say this this is pretty much like a good showcase of crunk type music. The appeals behind, especially some of these newer songs. Like this is kind of a batch of Ying Yang twins just when they were red hot, because the songs like Salt Shaker and Get Low, some of those type songs, and other ones like What's Happening, some of the singles that kind of bled over from Me and My Brother from late 2003 reached like the summer and so of 2004. So it's just a good concept that they capitalized on some of this. And there's some songs on here, like definitely the Bone Crusher song is one of the best moments on this particular album. That definitely probably should have been a single. I remember that song from back in the day. Definitely probably needed a lot more appeal than it got. Would have been a good look to help Bone Crusher out. Halftime Stand Up and Get Crunk's a real nice one as a single, and like In the Club is a nice kind of buzz type song kind of get for like a secondary kind of songwriting type appeal that has within it. But we'll go ahead and talk about these. So basically, there are 10 songs on this particular remix album, and out of those 10 I wound up recommending 8 in some fashion. So the only 2 songs I don't recommend in any fashion on here would just be the Salt Shaker remix. But to talk about this in particular, I would have to damn near kind of say that just the concept, I actually did kind of like Salt Shaker remix that has Fat Joe, Juvenile, and Fatman Scoop on there. It's a good pitch to kind of get that one in particular, but it just doesn't really differ too much from like the original Salt Shaker. I pretty much would have to say that Salt Shaker, the original, is a pretty excellent type song to kind of get. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying that it does have some new rappers on there as far as those pitches going to happen, but you know, it just kind of has the pitch. So I would just say the only 2 songs I don't recommend in any fashion, like if I didn't say this already, was just the 2 Salt Shaker remixes. But just to be able to say one of which is over 8 minutes, I just felt like there were maybe a few more, and there just were a few too many rappers on that particular, the 10th song, the extended remix. But the other remix is kind of relatively snappy, but I still think the original Salt Shaker is just excellent enough song, but it works for what it is. I mean, some remixes on here work pretty well. I do feel like the ones that Me and My Brother and George Dumb were definitely some remixes that worked within the extremity just because it shortens them. But Salt Shaker remix is kind of one. So I guess I would damn near say, depending upon how I felt about it, I could damn near give this album like a 10 out of 10 just within the pitch. Me recommending 9 out of 10 songs on here, or I mean, no matter what, I'm going to recommend 8 out of 10. But just to be able to say that Salt Shaker, at least the shorter remix, is one that can kind of be an additional one. But I just would have to say it'd probably be, yeah, we'll get to the score. But so basically the two singles of this project, one of which was Halftime Stand Up and Get Crunk, and the other one was In the Club. But the first single, we'll talk about that one. So Halftime Stand Up and Get Crunk is like an outdoor kind of Halftime Stand Up and Get Crunk is like an outdoor kind of summer festivity. Crunk noise to kind of get here, just football game and ball game type tunes to kind of get within the aspect of standard noise for that. Smoke some good pitches like that, chit chat kind of song kind of get here. Definite works for halftime, I'd have to say, just within the tone of just that buzz and commotion, just being out and about, just more kind of social, commute, and festive places, football, baseball games, some of those type of fair standard outs, and just summer activities, whether it's picnics, cookouts, some of that type of just standard fun. Do you like some of these songs? It just doesn't feel like these sorts of songs happen as much full bound in like today's culture as much. I kind of noticed that, you get folks like Bone Crusher, Lil Jon, Ying Yang Twins, David Banner, some of these type folks that would kind of outcast, even that would kind of do like these football game type songs that just felt like it'd be near like a marching band or bleachers or some of those types of things. It'd be a good pitch to kind of get some of these songs to kind of return to that within a relative type pitch. Just even if it actually is going to like an MLB or NFL stadium, some of those type fairs, and just getting crunk there. Now, obviously, not bringing, obviously within the concept of drinking, smoking responsibly within the pitch, but just within the tone, you just would have to say it's some good type fare to kind of get crunk within that atmosphere and have some good times locally, or just however, just within the pitch behind it. But real nice song for some of that halftime type fair, sports game type fun. In the Club with Yanni's a nice one as well. And Halftime Stand Up and Get Crunk has a cat on there named Homeboy, which is a pretty good pitch. But In the Club is like a glaring kind of night venue unwind to kind of get here. Just a nice outing snap to kind of have. Just kind of feels like, I mean, this is pretty good, like in between type single, kind of like when you think, I mean, Ying Yang Twins are pretty good at getting to like later singles. Most of their songs kind of caught on, so they would be able typically to get to like the third and fourth single when people wouldn't. So I was actually surprised that this album even had a second single this within the pitch. I mean, for a remix album that's just supposed to be like a stopgap, it's pretty good that they got the second single on here. It does have that relative type of feel, just a nice Beezy flavored songs, like a nice Beezy flavored kind of Ying Yang Twins type snap to kind of get here. Just R&B type tinge, what I mean by that. Just more for the ladies, some of that type kickback, just standard fare, just out and about, but just kind of more, just kind of more on the prowl, and just a little bit more rosy in mind as far as those pitches kind of happen, just more R&B flavored, kind of like the opposite of like a song like Naggin' by Ying Yang Twins. I'd have to say this where it's a little bit not as much like ruffled and annoyed with chicas as much as just kind of more, hey, it's kind of like trying to holla, some pitches like that as far as those pitches kind of go. But I just look after it as like a good demon time gem to kind of get here. So it's just within the tone. Just appreciate the appeal of some of these type ones. Yeah, it's too bad that both these songs didn't really chart as well. I just look after it as just kind of, I just question like the concept of how many folks even realized that this particular product came out. I don't know like the sales behind it, but it said it reached number 12 on like the Billboard 200, which is a pitch behind it. But I think this particular album just needed like a Lil Jon song, something like that. I think most folks, and I would probably say folks in like the situation were probably just sold on songs that were already popping by Ying Yang Twins, like Salt Shaker, Get Low, What's Happening, Naggin', some of those type ones just within the pitch as to how that particular kind of went. And they had a pretty big, between like just the early 2000s, 2002, 3, and 4, they had some pretty huge times. So it's just kind of the concept. It's just this is a bolster type project, but just as surprising that it didn't have more commercial type appeal. But these songs are pretty affable, just in the sense. I think the casual score is going to get a high score as well. But yeah, so basically the 4 songs I recommend on here out of the 10 on here that are new songs would be Halftime, In the Club, Do It, and Take Your Clothes Off. Then the 3 remixes that I recommend, or at least the 4 remixes I recommend would be Georgia Dome remix, Me and My Brother remix, and Slow Motion remix, and then also like Salt Shaker remix, the shorter one. And then there's a 9th song on here that I recommend, which is Get Crunk Shawty, which I'm going to briefly talk about, which is on the Nick Cannon album from late 2003. So basically, Do It is like a scuzzy and kind of slogged out night venue. Basically, the song Do It with the musicians in New Breed, like a scuzzy and kind of slugged out night venue ambience to kind of get here. Just some standard kind of vanilla night fun to kind of have. This Red Eyes type music from Smokeage, pitches like that, and it's just a good song to have a good time to. Yeah, Do It is just some after hours type fun and just a more slogged out type sense. It's kind of a concept of just a little bit more drowsy in mind. Just hella after hours type pitches kind of get there just for like that standard fare. Just strip club type ambience pitches like that, night venue after hours type fare. Just some good concepts for some of that. Do appreciate the appeal. Just a good pitch, just the concept to kind of, I mean, these are sorts of songs that probably needed more attention as far as those pitches kind of happen. Songs like Do It and Take Your Clothes Off are reasons why Ying Yang Twins are solar. Songs like Do It and Take Your Clothes Off are reasons why Ying Yang Twins are kind of missed in today's times, I'd have to say in particular, but still a good pitch to kind of get that just real nice ambient kind of strip club music. Take Your Clothes Off with Bone Crusher, like I was saying, this is brilliant. This is one. Take Your Clothes Off with Bone Crusher, like I was saying, this is one of the best songs off this particular album. I'd have to say a real highlight. Had some, I do remember this song from back in the 2000s as far as those pitches kind of happened. Didn't have like a music video for it, but it was pretty nice. It was a pretty nice bop to kind of get here. It's like a classic kind of Bone Crusher Ying Yang Twins team up to kind of get two crunk giants make like some glissy kind of hitters on this particular one to kind of get here, and this is just an overall red hot type song to kind of have. So I just look within the pitch, pretty snappy type song, just real, just thrills of just out and about, just within a standard strip club, and night venue type appeal as far as that would particularly kind of happen. Just some standard gliss of just out and about and just kind of pizzazz of just fraternizing, standard panache and commotion, I'd have to say just about it. Just good concept for that. A little bit more glissy and sparkly compared to like standard Get Low or Salt Shaker, some of those type ones, or Halftime, some of those type ones in the club in particular, I'd say. I mean, Get in the club's a little bit more hypnotic and syrupy, but I'd say Take Your Clothes Off's a little bit more typical like Ying Yang Twins, just a more kind of, it has similarities to Bone Crusher within the pitch, but it's not quite as ferocious as like raucous like Lil Jon typically kind of is. So it's just Ying Yang Twin variation of crunk that's kind of turn up this noise making, but just not as feral as they normally are. It's just more ladies bound, kind of like a song like Naggin', just without the kind of toot about it, I'd say in particular. Just probably something that just feels like Salt Shaker that's just not as crazy, I'd have to say. It's just good pitch, but it's just standard good dance type song kind of get just within the pitch, but the good stuff there. So I am going to talk about Georgia Dome and Me and My Brother again as far as those pitches. I talked about those albums, or I talked about those songs, and I reviewed this album, or reviewed Me and My Brother back in the spring. I'm going to talk about the remixes because they do have some better snaps. So Georgia Dome remix is like an abridged kind of highlight with like a better radio snap about it. Georgia Dome remix is like a solid Salt Shaker sequel to kind of get, so it's a good fare for that. And then Me and My Brother remix, the title track remix, it's like a creeping kind of crunk turn up, I'd have to say. Great Young Bloods cameo to kind of get on there. Some good folks to throw on that song. It's like a throw-in bopper to kind of get. So yeah, both these original songs were pretty excellent. They're just lengthier within the pitch. It just is more commercialized and meant for more radio snap to kind of have, and it works just because the folks on these particular songs, Jackie O is a pretty thrilling type chica to kind of get around that particular time. She was kind of here and there. She was kind of like a cousin of Trina, some pitches like that. Trina always had more appeal, but she's kind of one that kind of gets ignored in today's time. I'm gonna have to check out some of her music, but it's good to get her on this particular song. She was on like Lil Jon's label. Batman Scoop is on Georgia Dome remix. He's on here a number of times, that I'd say it's a good pitch for that. Once again, RIP to kind of say that, but I look after just being able to say like Me and My Brother remix is a nice one with Youngbloods on there. I got to get to their music as well as far as those pitches gonna happen. But yeah, so the other remix is Slow Motion remix. This has some good folks on there. It has has Wyclef Jean and Ying Yang Twins on there, in addition to it having Juvenile with a new verse on there, which is a pretty good tone for that. It's a good, excellent type song as normal. This within the pitch, this is some more Summer Glaze, kind of get that one. It said that it had Skip and Wacko from UTP on there, but I didn't see them on that particular song. It was still a good enough one. And then Get Crunk Shawty, the Nick Cannon song, is like a great Kickstarter and typical kind of house party local snap to kind of get. You know, I haven't reviewed the Nick Cannon album, not sure when I'm going to get to that one, but it is a nice song off that particular project. So it's on here just to be able to say if you didn't fuck with the Nick Cannon album. But yeah, like I was saying, just a good house party type one to kind of get. Just basically like a more localized residential type fare of a song like Halftime. It's the same sort of commotion, just some of that type fare of just maybe you're at the football game and then you go home and have a house party red cup kind of music after that. So it's just within the tone of getting a 1-2 punch for some of that local type fare. So yeah, this album just switches up the flavor just between some of these outings, whether it's out and about, just sports game type events and local type fare, red cup type music, house party type fare, strip club type sleaze pitches like that, some of those type ones, dance club type commotion, some of those type fares, Lil Jon Bone Crusher asked some of those type fares just to kind of get some good tones over this. And the guests on here do bolster this project, do like the Jackie O, Fatman Scoop features, some of these type ones, Young Blood, some of these type folks, Bone Crusher, definitely like I was saying, some of this type fare. So it's actually, this is pretty star-studded type product. Just really appreciate this, like an extra special kind of appetizer that works pretty well. Great stopgap type release that probably more folks need to do more often, especially put all this new stuff on it that just has this blistering type appeal. So yeah, I think I am going to go ahead and give this album like a 10 out of 10. It just hits that heavily just within the pitch behind it. There's just that many quality songs on here just within the pitch. If it didn't get a 10 out of 10, it'd probably get like a 9.75, just something within the pitch. But I just feel like the blistering, just the fact that they revamped some songs that were lengthier and did it, so that it makes these songs actually better to get this particular album with these particular songs. There's some new stuff on there, at least 4 new songs that have like that good appeal, and a lot of these have some snap. Like I do feel like Halftime's an excellent sports game song, Take Your Clothes Off's an excellent dance club song. I like the scuzzy feeling of Do It, definitely, and In the Club's like a nice R&B flavored Ying Yang Twins type song kind of get, kind of like Yanni might be Ying Yang Twins version of that Ubi chick that Lil Jon fucks with, so it's a good type fare. Just being able to say some of these type ones, the remixes hit, it's just some excellent type appeal. So yeah, it gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I'm going to go ahead and give, I'll give the social score like a 9.75 just within the pitch, because I look after just within the tone. This has some appeal, but these songs did not chart. I mean, I feel like Ying Yang Twins had enough appeal around the time they were red hot, around this time, 2003, 2004, 2005. It's just kind of the concept that it doesn't really have like the commercial snap. I want to say that there released some music videos dropped for this particular project. Casual and commercial wise, it just didn't have as much flair as far as that particular kind of went, which is unfortunate, because this is definitely an inspired project and these songs are quality on here. It's easy enough to see, but just kind of within the concept of whether or not it's going to be taken to that, just within it, I'd have to say. So it's just a good pitch. I would just have to say, fuck with this project, dig it up, find some good tunes on here. It's got plenty of social snap to be able to say about a lot of that, so it's just within the pitch of just questioning. I realize that Ying Yang Twins nowadays are more of a relic, so it's just kind of within the tone with not having that commercial type bias, whether or not the concept behind some of these songs is going to get the attention. But yeah, I just would have to say. So in terms of the future, like Ying Yang Twins has not been really around since like the earlier mid 2010s, I'd have to say. There's still some ones to get to, definitely. This is once again like a classic here, just kind of underappreciated in today's times, I'd suppose. But excellent type blistering type appeal and some excellent type stuff to kind of have for like social outs, residential wise, and just otherwise.